Hello, my fellow writers and authors. Uh, my inspiration for you today is coming from two of my favorite attitude quotes. And the first one is success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And my second one is don't wait for opportunity created. And I've lived by those, and I wanted to share that with you to encourage you that you can make something happen as a self published author. And I'm going to share a few tips with you of how to begin to make that happen or to make something happen. So I want to welcome you to Clayton Communications and Publishing, our Facebook online newsletter where we turn your stories into books. I am your host, Coach Blondie, and my topic today is why is it that some of the self publishers profit and others don't? What do you think? Well, drop me an email and tell me what you think at coach23blondie@gmail.com. So today I want to talk about attitude, determination, and readiness. Those three things, because those were the three things that have taken me to the place where I am today and what I do today related to publishing. So let's talk about attitude. Why did you want to publish a book? Is it just to have your name on a book for bragging rights, or is it was it something that you always wanted to do? And as I pose those questions to you, here's what happens often with the self publisher. The self publisher they come in with that attitude there, and they have set no real goals. The goal is just to get the book done so you can get your name on it, or you're shooting for the stars and so on and so forth. And your goal is not to profit because you didn't plan that into the equation when you started out. You just was gung ho and ready to get that book done. So why did you publish with that attitude? Well, you probably did it the same way as I did because it was a glamorous idea. And just imagine your name on a book and how people would be impressed with that. And you started to see spotlights and cameras and all of those things. And guess what? Just like when I started out, I was let down, and you probably are feeling the same way. I was disappointed. My expectations were dashed. I thought it would be just such an easy process. I didn't realize that it was going to have some hoops that I would have to jump through. So if that's you right now, I want to just tell you to stop it. You can be revived. Your first book idea does not have to sit on a shelf and collect dust or sit in a box and just collect dust. So unless you are going to give up, and that is an option, you can do that. And there have been times when I haven't thought about giving up, but I was just disappointed trying to figure out, well, what do I do? What's next? How can I get the word out there? How can I make more or increase more book sales? And I realized that my attitude had to change. If I was going to be in there for the long haul, my attitude had to change. And my attitude did change. And what I began to do is I began to look at, okay, I've got the book. So now what is it that I need to do now that I have the book? Okay, do I know anything about marketing? No, I absolutely at the time did not. And I was shy and scared to death to talk to people and definitely not stand up in front of a group. But I did something. I was determined to do something. My attitude shift said, okay, so you don't know that. So what do you think you need to do? Well, I needed to go and begin that journey of knowledge gathering. And this is what I started to do because if I didn't gather knowledge and try to understand, okay, my next step is marketing. Do I know anything about marketing? No, but I can learn. And I hope that's you. I needed to get my thoughts organized and then make a plan because I was operating with no plan, and which is probably what you most of you who've come into this that you have done. You came in really because you didn't know. I didn't know, so therefore, how was I going to set up a plan when I didn't even know I needed a plan? And guess what? As I started to think about and organize and think things through, my attitude changed drastically. And I became so determined to win that I was going to overcome the marketing thing. I was going to make some strides. I was not going to give up. And I learned enough that I was able to help many authors to do some marketing of their books when we ended up publishing them. So I became determined to win, to overcome my shortcomings. I studied my competition. What is my competition doing? Competition is good. You know, sometimes you think, well, I've got the best thing since sliced bread, but no, there's always somebody who's done something similar to what you've done. They may not have done what you've done, but competition is good. So don't turn up your nose at competition. You want to know because whatever your competition is doing, that means somebody is buying or they're reaching somebody. So you want to kind of look at what they are doing and see what you can do. Not that you need to copy what they're doing, but see how you can then uh, begin to use some of their strategy to do whatever it is that you need to do for your work. So my mind shifted into gear and I began to make moves to expand my reach to really understand what marketing was. And I don't have it all, I don't know it all, but I tell you, I've learned enough that it has sustained me as I have gone along. And I have been able to help other people to do to promote their books as well. That is those that were willing, because sometimes people are not willing, they are shy and afraid, and they're not, but they do want to get a book out there. But I try to do my best when I work with authors to, okay, here's what we can do. From the very beginning, we can start setting your book up as a marketing tool, or so that you'll be able to market it. Or after, if you already have a book, okay, let's look at what we can do to begin to hang that or to promote it out there in the marketplace. And then another thing, so as a result of that, I started to teach because I said, okay, I figured out what my book sales would bring in, and then I said, okay, that's not a whole lot of money. And so I started to teach others what I knew. And so therefore, I began to teach writing, I began to teach publishing, and I began to teach speaking. So there, what I'm trying to, the point I'm trying to make here is that you can make something happen, but and if you are determined, and if you're determined, you definitely can. And your attitude needs to change, and you need to be determined. And which brings me to my last point, which is readiness. If you publish your book to depend on others to make something happen, well, I can tell you already that you are going to be very disappointed because that's not going to happen. And even if you get to the point where you can hire people to do things for you, I remember hiring people to do things for me. But if you don't know what it is that you really need to have done, and you're trying to relate to them what you want, and you're not clear, you just wasted your money. Okay. The truth is, if you want to succeed at anything, you must be ready to do what it takes and stop whining and start creating. What can you do next to position yourself for profit? And look at the what you can do. Begin to brainstorm what you can do. Just take a piece of paper and just start writing. Or you can just start doing your research. How do I market my book? And if you come across something, all right, I think I'm going to try that, and try it. And this is really what it's going to be, a lot of trial and error for us, though, who are publishing for the first time, and who are self-publishers. Some things you do this initially, you're just building momentum. And so I was happy, okay with that. And you need to be okay with that. Don't think that you're going to jump to the front of the line right away. There's many before you, but don't quit. You just want to just continue to keep pushing forward. So it is possible that your book can be selling and that it could end up as a bestseller, but what are you willing to do? Think about what you need to do in order to make sales. And I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions. For first of all, you should have a website. If you don't have one, then you need to look at having a website, and understand you can have a free website if you want them to advertise on there. But if you don't want to invest money in that, then okay, then get a free one. Then you can also, if you're always on social media, why not take your book, look through your book, see what topics that you can talk about on social media. and try to make it relevant topics or topics that would be relevant to the friends that you might have on Facebook or some of the other social medias. And you can do some live, go in and do some talks. But you need the website because now, if somebody's interested in purchasing a book, then you would be, of course, during your live talks, sending them to your website. You also have Amazon. If you have been published or on Amazon, Amazon has an author's page. Make sure you fill out that information because when somebody buys a copy of your book, they're invited to follow you as an author and so forth. You can also advertise through KDP if you want, so you can look into that. That's the Amazon KDP network. And there's podcasts that are free podcasts that you can become a part of or sign up for, that you can do again more talks, excerpts, whatever from your book. Then you also have the access to, if you are on Facebook and you are, let's say, personal on Facebook, you might run some ads, inexpensive ads, based upon whatever you want to spend, as low as you want and as high as you want to go. And the other thing what helped me is I started doing research on marketing. How was other people marketing their books? And I started to imitate what they were doing. And sometimes I would look at what they were doing and I had an even a different idea and I would just go with that idea and it worked. Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't work. But no matter what it is that you decide to do, attitude is everything, determination is everything, and also readiness. Because if you're not willing to if you need the right attitude in this business, and you also need to be determined to make it. And every author that I've ever encountered who's been determined to make it, they make it. Ultimately, they make it. So so what if you try something and it doesn't work? Well, you just eliminate that. I heard a story about Thomas Edison was trying to make the light bulb work, and it took him over 1,000 times and then finally the 1,000th time it worked. I don't know how true that story is, but that's the story that I heard. So, what difference does it make? Keep trying until you make something happen. Revamp your attitude. Be determined. Readiness. Be ready to stick in there and make something happen, and ask me about our Facebook marketing ideas group where we get together and we just brainstorm, or different ones come in there and answer the question, what am I doing? What are you doing to market your book? And they share various things in there. So if there's anything that I have said here that is helpful to you, and on any other videos that I've shared that's been helpful to you, please share it with your family and friends. And if you need help, let's talk. Take advantage of my 20-minute consult offer. It's free. And then you can send me an email to request that. And until next time, Coach Blondie signing off. Keep the faith.